Like most people, I've been spending a lot of time at home lately. More than usual. And being home 24/7 means you start to notice some things that you don't usually see. These days, my office is my kitchen table, and my coworkers are my cats, Loki and Bill. So I've had a front seat to all of their daily drama, including Loki's obsession with this little pizza toy. He loves this toy a lot. Like, a lot. It's nothing special, just some crinkle paper wrapped in fabric. But after seeing him drool all over it, I realized the reason is probably because it's filled with catnip. He's just getting really high. So as I watched him playing around with his stuffed crust pizza toy, I started to wonder, how does catnip work? That's right, y'all. I'm doing the cat video this time. Catnip, also called catwort or catmint, is a plant native to Europe, the Middle East, and Central Asia, and has been naturalized in the UK, US, and New Zealand. It sort of looks like mint, with soft, fuzzy leaves and small white blossoms. Before it became popular as a treat for our furry friends, catnip had historically been used for medicinal purposes, as a tea or a tincture or even smoking. People used it to help with everything from colic, flatulence, childbirth, and menstruation to headaches, pain relief, and more. Not terribly surprising. Seems like back in the day, people would eat, drink, or smoke anything to treat various ailments. It has also been used to attract butterflies and deter unwanted pest insects, like mosquitoes and flies. But now to the real question. Does catnip get humans high? A paper I found from 1990 claimed that if smoked by humans, catnip produces a high similar to cannabis and can cause visual and auditory hallucinations. The author even claimed that in the 60s, it was used as an alternative or filler for marijuana. A few other people have reported smoking catnip and feeling a cannabis-like high, but to be honest, it seems like the users were experiencing a placebo effect. There's at least one case report of a toddler eating a bunch of catnip and experiencing central nervous system depression, and others showing that oil extracted from catnip induces sleepiness in rats and chicks. But those papers are all either behind paywalls or not available on the internet. And the evidence that is out there is pretty shaky, like a 1969 paper claiming that catnip gets you high, but they actually mixed up cannabis and catnip, which doesn't really support the idea that catnip would make a good marijuana substitute. And think about it. If catnip got you high, wouldn't you have been warned about it during DARE? McGruff the crime dog would be all over that. It's possible that with more study, we'll find out whether or not catnip itself has any psychoactive effects, but so far the evidence isn't strong. Okay, so I probably can't get high off of it. Not that I tried. But just because it doesn't do anything for me doesn't mean that it doesn't work on my cats. Catnip has been described as a sort of pot for cats, kush for flower kittens, for felines, trees for tabbies. So how does it work? Well, the active ingredient in catnip is nepidolactone, a terpenoid. Terpenoids are organic compounds found in plants that are primary components of essential oils and are generally known for their aromatic qualities. Other well-known terpenoids include THC and CBD, which are found in cannabis. In cats, the fragrant nepidolactone enters their nasal passage and binds to olfactory receptor neurons. This sets off a cascading signaling response through the olfactory bulb and back to the amygdala and hypothalamus regions of the brain, two major components of the limbic system. The amygdala is important for processing memory and emotions, especially fear and aggression, while the hypothalamus regulates body systems including temperature, thirst, hunger, sleep, and sex drive. Overall, the limbic system regulates emotional responses and memory, and plays a key role in the regulation of basic bodily functions. When nepidolactone activates this circuit by binding to olfactory neurons, the signal generates a sexual response, almost like the cat is responding to an artificial sex pheromone. This is what leads to the sniffing, licking, drooling, yowling, rolling around, and kicking associated with the catnip high. So when you're giving your cat catnip, it's more like giving them Viagra or ecstasy than it is like giving them weed. The catnip high usually lasts around 15 to 20 minutes before the cat chills out, and then they don't respond again to catnip for a while, at least an hour. Anecdotally, it also seems like frequency of exposure reduces the strength of the response. Cats who ingest catnip often don't seem to react as strongly as cats who only have it infrequently. And, interestingly enough, not all cats respond to catnip. Only around 2/3 of cats seem to get turned on by the stuff, while the rest find it boring. Research indicates this is due to genetics. Cats need to have a certain gene variant to show the specific response. So that raises the question. Do our cats like catnip? I mean, I know Loki likes this pizza toy, but maybe I'm wrong about the catnip. Maybe it's the crinkly paper, or he's secretly a pizza fiend. What if I just give him straight catnip? And what about Bill? Let's test it out. So I've got some dried catnip here that I just picked up. It's brand new, that fresh good stuff. Let's rub a couple of similar toys in the catnip and see how they react. Now let's watch some cats get high. What about your cats? Do they like catnip? How do they react when you give it to them? And how do you feel about giving your cats a sexual stimulant? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this episode of Neurotransmissions. If you liked it, make sure you keep an eye out for our upcoming book, which will feature both of these good cats. Until our next transmission, I'm Alie. Over and out.